You've made it to Chiro Hustle. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession on the world's #1 chiropractic podcast. This episode is brought to you by Chiro HD, more than an EHR, practice management simplified. The Chiro speaking company, attract, educate, and convert. Chiro Spring, cloud-based, user-friendly software with all the essential features chiropractors need. The IFCO, Chiro Moguls, Chiro Health USA, Sherman College of Chiropractic, Pure Chiro Notes, Titronics, and Life West College of Chiropractic. Let's hustle. Hey docs, let me ask you something. Are you adjusting patients but not adjusting your revenue? Because a lot of chiropractors are still undercharging without even realizing it. They're accepting insurance allowances that are just too low. And they're hesitant to raise the fees because they're worried about pushback from patients. The problem is, when your fees and financial systems aren't aligned, it creates a slow leak in your practice. And when you try to grow, more marketing, more patients, maybe even another location, the leak gets bigger. There's actually a smarter way to handle this. Chiro Health USA helps chiropractors charge appropriately when insurance is available while still serving cash or limited benefit patients through a compliant discount medical plan. The results? Many practices see revenue increases around 15 to 20% without adding more visits. Same patients, better margins, more freedom. If you want to stop leaving money on the table and build a practice that's both profitable and compliant, check out ChiroHealthUSA.com to learn more.
Hey guys, welcome to episode 798 of the Chiro Hustle Podcast. I'm your producer, Luke Millette, and here's your host, James Chester.
So today we have the opportunity of interviewing Dr. Corey Malnikof. And if you want to hear our conversations about growing a chiropractic empire and building it brick by brick, stay tuned for the full episode. Welcome back. This is another episode of the Chiro Hustle Podcast. Today I have a new friend. Hopefully we got a long road ahead for us together. Corey Malnikof, graduated from Palmer 21 years ago. We were just talking about reigniting the flame out there at Palmer College and bringing vitalism back to the campus and a lot more. But we're going to talk about his company, Palmer Care Chiropractic. We're going to talk about some business advice, marketing advice, and how to have a work-life balance and how he's able to manage 150 souls on the plane. And I think there's a lot going to be happening on today's conversation. But before we get into episode 798, I want to let you know our big why. Why do we do what we do? Well, first things first is protecting freedom of speech, not only in chiropractic, but in journalism. I believe it's very important in this world to have freedom to say what we need to say without constraints and without censorship. We also believe in medical freedom and family health freedom. I think those things are very important to the chiropractic profession, but also the healing world. And if you need help with those topics, reach out to a chiropractor in your city. I'm sure they'd be happy to help you out. Further than that, we speak about philosophy on this podcast, and protecting the sacred trust is very important to us. If you don't know what that is, go to the show notes, click on the link and read about the sacred trust. It's BJ Palmer's last written words, and he calls upon the chiropractors to protect this profession. And I hope you guys read that. Lastly, we believe in subluxation-based chiropractic, innate intelligence, universal intelligence, and the educated intelligence. We believe that when man or woman, the physical, gets adjusted, it connects them to man or woman, the spiritual. And I know I shouldn't have to say these things, but they're removing some of the language from the education at these colleges. So we need to supplement with real truth in journalism and in the message of chiropractic. So if you know a chiropractic student that's not getting this, or a new grad that didn't get it, please share the show with them so they can actually get it from us as a supplement. Kind of like when people don't eat right, they need to supplement their diet with supplements. This is your supplement for chiropractic philosophy and knowledge. So share the show. This is episode number 798. Dr. Corey, welcome to the show.
Thank you, man. Man, I love everything you just said. I won't dive deep, but the innate chiropractic and all the things that are being taken out of our schools, man, I love that you do this podcast, and I love that people get to hear this on a regular, because it's, man, our roots are so important.
Well, we drop 8 episodes a month, and if I had the firepower, I would drop more.
798 times is a lot, man. So, we talked about it earlier. You do anything, when people ask me what it takes to be successful, I'm just going to say this and we'll move on, right? I always say that there are two qualities of a successful person if you really want to hit it. And those two things are you have to be disciplined and you have to be consistent. 798, as much as all of your episodes, I listen to them. They're great. You share so much great information. I love it all. I love that you're subluxation based, but the fact that you've shown consistency and discipline, man, you are successful and you are like demonstrating it for all to hear. So thank you for that.
Well, it's a long road to the top. And I think that people just have to like really give themselves permission to do whatever they're passionate about.
Yeah.
And never give up on it. And make a contract with yourself. That's what I told you I did, is I just made a contract with myself and I didn't break that. And if anybody wants to find their path in this lifetime, they just have to make that contract with themselves and don't break it.
Yeah, I love it. James, funny story here. So when I first built this first office, and behind me, it was 900 square feet when I first built it. And I had the plans to build it. And I had the semi-open adjusting and all these things I wanted. And my contractor came up to me and his words to me were, I really like orange suits, but I'm never going to wear an orange suit out because that's not appropriate. He said, I know you want to build your practice like this, but you shouldn't. And I said, thanks for the advice, man. Now go build my practice. So I totally get it. I love it. You said it earlier, man. You decided exactly who you wanted to be and what you wanted to do. No apologies. Love it.
Yeah. And that's what it takes. And that's really, 21 years ago, I just have to ask you, like, why chiropractic?
Yeah, I mean, so, I do have a chiropractic story, so I'm lucky to have that. I was, to give you the shorter end of my longer story, right? So I was this sick 4-year-old kid with asthma, and, my parents, as a last resort, took me to the local quack. We did the knock on the door. We go into the waiting room where there's 100 people waiting. I remember I was literally having an asthma attack. I had to go back outside into the snow. I grew up in Buffalo, New York, and luckily the cold actually helped. But I remember that all the patients were like, "Just skip us, just go." And so my first introduction to chiropractic was a 4-year-old boy walking down a hall to meet the giant Dr. Ali Jafari, this gigantic guy. And my first experience with chiropractic was me hiding under his desk, holding onto a leg with my mother trying to pull me out. So I had a very early connection to chiropractic, and then I got to play high school sports, college sports, some football. I stuck with my chiropractors, and then lucky enough for me is mother's into health food, father's a pharmacist, uncle's a alternative MD, so I was always around healthcare. So I was kind of looking at healthcare, and then I happened to hear Guy Reekman. And hearing Guy Reekman speak about chiropractic, the nervous system, because I'd been going to chiropractors for so long, man, but I didn't know what they actually did. I just knew that I could go back on the field and play. And if I had a concussion, I'd feel better after they worked on me. But Reekman, he explained chiropractic, and it was so cool. I was like, I got to do this.
I feel the same responsibility today. I speak on stages around the world, and, I believe the same thing that Guy was doing is we have this opportunity. We have to tell that story. I start my talks out a lot of times, and why I started making documentary movies and why I do the podcast is because there's this guy named Joe Borio, and I saw him speak at Mile High #1 14 years ago. And he said that you have to tell the story. He must have said that 30 to 50 to 100 times. And I said after that, I was just going to go tell the story. And the next year I made my first documentary, and I haven't stopped interviewing chiropractors since then because I thought how important it was to tell the story. So when Guy told you the story, it landed on you and it changed your life.
Yeah. 100%. 100%, man. And yeah, purpose driven gets you there every time. So amazing thing for Guy to share that. And it really hit home. Yeah. So that's how I made my way. And, my mentor had gone to Palmer, so Palmer was the place to be, and that's where we went. I got the greats too. I had Guy Reekman and Fred Barge and David Koch and Strang and Dr. Burns. And man, I had the onslaught of philosophy when I was there.
Well, that's really, we've skipped a couple generations for the past 20 years with that. And we need to get back to those roots. If not, chiropractic loses its way. And we don't have this in 2 decades and 30 years from now, we're a profession full of medipractors that don't know what a subluxation is, that refer out, that are afraid to adjust. So we need to protect this sacred trust, like I open up for. It's not just lip service. Yeah. It's really a message to a call to action and a call to arms, maybe a call to hands for the profession to actually get busy and start teaching people what real chiropractic is.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. You know, I recently started working more with Maha and, with, Kennedy's group and whatnot, and being apolitical about this. They opened a Maha Chiropractic Hub, which I've been really trying to help with, and there's some great people working on that. And for me, one of the most exciting things that happened with it so far, they published a website for the Maha Chiropractic Hub, and they listed, it's the first time I've seen any government agency kind of define chiropractic. And so they put up 3 things to define chiropractic. And I was really holding my breath like, and the 3 things they put on there was, number 1, chiropractors affect the nervous system. Number 2, that we're finding vertebral subluxations and working on them. And then number 3, right, that chiropractic is not just symptoms, but preventative. And I couldn't believe those things were put on there. So I will tell you, I really think, we've seen, I don't want to go down this rabbit hole too far, but we've seen so much, right, of different schools kind of going in different directions. And I worry about the whole medipractor thing. But to see that some of this stuff is showing up in mainstream, I really think there's a chance.
Well, back to what you just said, during my talks around this global tour I just did, is I have a slide where I'm interviewing RFK Jr.
Yeah.
And I say to the audience, why is this slide so important? I go, because this man has his head on straight and he gets adjusted. Now I said, your job is to go find everybody in Parliament, every mayor, every police chief, every fire deputy, every sheriff, everybody that makes decisions for your communities, and go adjust them. Yeah. Go get their heads on straight. Go find those people in the Parliament and the presidents and the people that make decisions for the people, and show them what chiropractic is. And I guarantee you that they'll make better decisions moving forward on a global health agenda, because they know what chiropractic is and they know that the other side is not working. And if you go to them and you start adjusting them, you're going to change the trajectory of this profession from now until the future. So I was like, you guys got work to do. But This is why this picture matters, is because this man is in America and he's doing the right things right now. And we have a glimpse of hope that we can actually do the right thing for this profession and get it more mainstream. And I appreciate you bringing that up.
Yeah, no, I love what they're doing, man. For me, as much as I can give them of myself to try to help move that agenda, I'm doing it. And there's a lot coming in the next couple of months, actually. So people should probably keep an eye out.
Yeah, I've heard some things. I actually had Mark Santa on talking about it a couple months ago before I embarked upon this journey. Yeah. And I have Joe LaMarche coming on in a couple weeks. And I the cool thing about this podcast is I get a chance to talk to the who's who, the people that are doing the work in this profession. And, I also love talking to the mom and pop chiropractors that, are just doing the thing and practicing and, creating that like family practice or that pediatric practice or whatever their dream was. And I love interviewing those people too, but it's really cool that I can talk to all walks of life in this profession and get a different perspective from so many different people.
Yeah, you're going to get a lot from Joe, man. He's a great guy. Great doc.
So Palmer Care, what is Palmer Care? I know you have a group of, 24 offices?
Yeah, we have 24 clinics, DC, Maryland, Virginia, Florida, Georgia, Texas, and then my hometown, Buffalo. And it was never, this was never my plan. I had never had an idea that I was going to go open all these offices and have all these employees. I think I told you we've got about 150 employees. I'm probably so wrong. There's probably so many more now. I should probably look. That was never the plan, I will tell you. My plan was very simple, right? In the beginning, chiropractic was just, I loved everything about it. I loved school. I loved getting to know Dr. Reekman. Graduated. For anyone that needs to hear this, right? I graduated with one of the biggest heads ever known in chiropractic. I had trouble fitting my head through a door because I had such a big head about how great I was. And so, I graduated and all I ever wanted to do was open a practice. And, my thought process was probably like a lot of people, which was I'm going to put a shingle up and, God will part the Red Sea. People will line up. Lightning will come from my pisiforms and I will change the world. And I think probably like what happens to many is that didn't happen. So I had the intentions of opening one practice and being successful. That's all I had. I remember I had a goal, like one day I'm going to see, 200 people in a week and I'm going to collect like $20,000 and life will never be the same. And instead, I opened a practice, had a space and a lease, and it wasn't built out because I didn't even think to I'm not going to pay rent till we build it out. And, there's a long story behind this. I actually wrote a book, The $4 Sandwich, that kind of talks about it because I got to the point where I didn't have $4 left. That was fairly sad. And lucky for me, I had a lot of great mentors and people in my head. And so, tried to open and then failed pretty miserably. And then I decided, well, there are people that are successful. So I decided I was going to study. I studied the Ritz. I studied Starbucks. I studied Nordstrom's. I studied Amazon. I started making some rules, man. And it was like, if I don't have a patient, go get a patient, which is, I think, one of the best advice in the beginning. If you're in your office and you don't have a patient, get out of your office and go get a patient.
Can I jump in quick?
Yeah, do it.
I tell people the most valuable thing they have in their possession is their cell phone. And anybody that has the same area code as you, if you're struggling with patients, reach out to all of them and tell them that you have a promotion going and that you're looking to help more people. And if it's not for them, maybe they have somebody they can recommend to you. But I tell everybody that everybody with the same area code as you have to send them a message. I don't care how long it takes you. Go through your entire list in your cell phone, and I guarantee you your practice will grow by 50 new patients in the next 2 weeks.
I know, man. Imagine if I had a cell phone right back then. I probably would have been texting all day, every day to everyone. And then now with social media and Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, man, you should be on there. Just come see me, come see me.
The other thing about this is doors still exist, and you can go knock those bad boys. Like, I know a lot of the most successful offices out there that ever were built, they made sure that they went and door knocked until they had 100 prepaid appointments or 100 scheduled appointments on their books before they even opened their doors.
Yeah.
No, and people go out there and they don't have a plan to succeed. And they think that the Red Sea is going to part, like you said, and there's going to be a line, around the corner coming to see them. And that's not usually the case. And you've seen this happen time and time again. I guarantee you that docs just don't know how to do it.
Yeah, no, man, it was, I had no idea what I was doing, but making that rule of if you don't have a patient, go get them. And I did exactly what you just said, man. I built a survey, which was pretty much like, is this a good area for a family chiropractor? And I knocked on every door and I called the phone book, which we had back then. And so I either knocked on doors, called the phone book, or I went and did a screening, or I was doing a workshop in the clinic where I was speaking. And that was it. That was my life. 7 days a week, every single day, until I got so tired I had to lay down Sunday night.
Exactly. And I tell people this too. You don't get to sleep until you exhaust yourself every day to build that dream. Yeah. No, my then girlfriend, now wife, was the one on Sunday that was like, you need to rest. Well, a little glimpse from my history in 2018, I did 365 interviews. I did one interview a day for an entire year. And I just told people that I was going to do it. And I committed once again. And I told people I made a contract with myself.
Yeah.
And I think that people, this is going to be a bomb for people to listen to once they actually listen to this episode, because they're going to say, wow, the only thing I have to do is be consistent and keep my word, and I can have the life of my dreams too.
Yep. I know, but it's hard. It's hard every day. Consistent means every day, every day, right?
No plays off and no days off.
No way, man. Especially if you're in growth mode. No way.
Because 1 out of 2 offices fail in 5 years.
Oh yeah,
and that's a statistic we need to fix.
Yeah. No, that's that we know about, man. Yeah. Unfortunately, I speak to a lot of clinics weekly. I see a lot of P&Ls weekly, and yeah, it's unfortunate what I get to see out there. But
so you said you opened up clinic 2 within 6 months of opening up clinic 1.
Right. So tried to open a practice, was terrible, ran out of money. And then I was like, forget this, and then I just never stopped. And I had met a chiropractor actually across the pond here, and I asked him if I could borrow one of his rooms to see patients while my office was getting built. Nice guy, let me do it. And I started filling it with patients. And then, my girlfriend graduated to come join me. And, short story, we didn't have enough space to see any more visits. And so the doctor that had let me use the room was like, hey, my friend's selling a practice. I want to go buy it, but I see what you're doing. I want you to go fix it. He said, you don't have to put up any money. We're 50-50. So my second clinic, I had a partner. And so I went there and literally 5-6 months into practice, and all of a sudden I had this second office. So I went down there, and man, there's a huge story behind that I won't go too far into, but I will just say that it was seeing 80 visits a week. And when I was done with that puppy, 3 weeks later, we were down to 30 visits a week. Right. But for good reasons, right? Part of what we said earlier was be who you are. My first patients came in and handed me $10 after their adjustment. I was like, what's the $10? And they said, that was the agreement we had for our payment. And so I was like, that's not even legal. So I lost those 5 people. The next person came in and said, we're so glad you're here. The last person was a sand person. We'll tell everyone you're back. And I'm like, my partner's a sand person. I was like, don't tell anyone I'm back and don't come back. So I literally went there, took 80 visits down to 30, but then luckily I was able to turn it around, turned it from 30 to 150, 150 to 200, and just kind of kept rolling.
You've made it to Chiro Hustle. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession on the world's #1 chiropractic podcast. This episode is brought to you by Chiro HD, more than an EHR, practice management simplified. The Chiro speaking company, attract, educate, and convert. Chiro Spring, cloud-based, user-friendly software with all the essential features chiropractors need. The IFCO, Chiro Moguls, Chiro Health USA, Sherman College of Chiropractic, Pure Chiro Notes, Titronics, and Life West College of Chiropractic. Let's hustle. What's a sand person?
They were saying they were from the Middle East. That was literally their expression. It was the worst. I had not ever experienced racism like that. It was crazy. It was like one punch after the other. I went to this small town and they just started saying these things, and I just didn't care. I was just like, don't come back. I no. So it was like I said, I took that clinic from 80 visits to 30 visits, and I sweat for a minute. And then I was like, well, I did this before. Let's go knock on doors. But built that puppy up. And then, a friend of mine that I had gone to school with, brought him in as an associate. That was my first ever associate. And then my other friend and I had a conversation and thought it would be a good idea to open another practice. And so I kind of blinked, and I went 1 to 2 and 2 to 4. And, that's kind of how Palmer Care got created, was that I was such a self-help junkie at that point. I had studied so much personal growth, professional growth, so many different companies. It's like I blinked, and instead of helping 200 people this week, I was helping 1,000 people this week because I had all these other hands helping. And then I'm I got so into the training where I was building up these doctors, and not just their abilities and skills, but in their mindsets. And I was working with all the staff. And, early in my career, those first 5 practices, the original 5, the only reason we ever lost a staff ever was because we helped them grow into what would be next in their life, which was not us, or we helped them grow into school, but they were leaving, and it was almost like a graduation, because that's what I did. We train. One of the things we're really proud of at Palmer Care is we have great training, some of the best. It's the best I've seen in chiropractic, right? But just half our training is on self-help, personal growth, goals, affirmations, visualizations, all the things my mentors taught me, because I've always believed the more you build people up, right, the more they show up, the better you're going to do for your patients, for your practice. And then the other half is on, yes, we need to be very good at our job. The Ritz-Carlton. We need to be the best. But that's kind of how Palmer Care got built, man. It was, I blinked from one, opened one, failed miserably, turned it around 30 days later and was kicking butt. One turned into 2 turned into 4, added that 5th, and then just kept rolling.
Really cool story. And I think I've done 1,400 interviews in the past 9 years. Most of them are actually at events. I'll go with the microphone and stand on the red carpet in front of like the backdrop, and I'll interview people. And I don't count those as hustle interviews, but half of the work I've ever done has been in person. And I've gone to events and interviewed people 10 a day. And I was telling you how I want to do that at Palmer, but
so cool.
One of the things that I believe is important in that whole story is when you consistently show up, the people need good leadership. And that's, if you prove to be a good leader, other people need you more than they even would admit. And that's why I believe that when we have people like you that build something up, other people need the support of the business structure and the business modeling. And that's so vital. And that's so vital to other people's careers. That's why one of the questions I wanted to talk to you about is like work-life balance and managing burnout, but not just for you, but for the people that are a part of your Palmer Care. Like how do you get that to be a part of the culture also?
Yeah, no, that is a great question. So I will say, so personally, and then I want to jump into my team. Personally, my rule has always just been like, I never miss anything for my kids ever, right? That's just a non-negotiable, right? So I'm the dad. If nothing else, I'm at practice with a computer, but I'm literally at every practice and every game. I just don't miss. That's one of the rules for me.
Bravo.
But from a doctor standpoint and staff standpoint, I will tell you, the biggest reason people have burnout, in my opinion, is that you're literally working a job over and over and over and over. And no matter who you are, that's going to break you down. You have to turn your job into part of your life, like a work of passion. It has to be, right? So like, we had our monthly meeting a couple of weeks ago with all the chiropractors. And it was like, when you feel burnt out, the question you have to ask yourself is, why did I become a chiropractor? Because if in that moment where you feel like tired, or you feel like why, and you ask yourself, why did I become a chiropractor? And that fire still exists, and that burnout will fade away. So part of my long-winded answer is you cannot be your job. It can't, right? So like, that is what we create. Like, the number one thing I am most proud of with Palmer Care, when people ask us what is different, is our culture. That is my number one, is that we create a culture where people aren't coming to work. They're coming to literally help people change their lives. Right. So everyone's job, what do you do at the front desk? My job is to help people inspire optimal wellness through unleashing the body's innate ability to heal. I ask the floor, what's your job? My job is to inspire optimal wellness to unleash. So everyone's job is not their job. It's their passion. And then, my buddy always said green and growing or ripe and rotting. Right. So then we make sure they're always in a position of green and growing. So like, everyone has goals written for the year. Everyone has affirmations they say every single day. Everybody has visualizations they do every single day. And so we keep their mind on who they are becoming, and not just the work. So, how do you not get burnt out? One is make sure you're working, working your passion, make sure you're growing. And then the other thing is, yes, we've got to make sure that they're taking some vacations, that they're taking some breaks, that maybe outside of the million meetings that I take people out to lunch and I take people out to dinner and I take people out to have some drinks, and that they can let loose and have fun and relax a little bit. So, all of that exists. But go ahead.
I love that so much. And I love that you shared that you had a $4 sandwich story earlier, because I once had a $3 story also.
Did you?
Yeah. So I had one less dollar than you.
Yeah.
And when I go out and I speak on stage, I tell people all the time, I don't care if you remember anything I say during today's talk. I just want you to know these things about me. I love God, I love my mother, and I love my father. And if you don't remember anything else about me, remember I'm a real human. Yeah. And I love things that are outside of just this profession. But also I love this profession too. So I want you to remember that. And, one of the things that you said there that I wrote down is, it's not exactly what you said, but it's something that I've also told people, is they don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
Yeah.
And that's inside of the name of your business, Care, Palmer Care.
Yeah.
And you have these affirmations that you teach your team.
Yeah.
And one of those things is unlocking people's innate. Mm-hmm. And I think that that's real important, that people know that their mission isn't just a pain-based model. It's an innate-based model.
Yeah.
And when that's a consistent theme within what you do, people get better faster. And it's not about getting them out of their pain. It's about creating a system that produces an outcome. And pain is a solution. Innate is an outcome.
Yeah.
And when we get people to understand that the outcome is the innate potential, then pain goes away with that, but people still stay into the system. Yeah. And that's a different type of modeling when it comes to chiropractic. Is it's not just, I'm going to get you 3 to 5 visits and we're going to get you out of pain. We're going to create a lifestyle that produces not only for my team a better quality of life, but for the people that trust us and come in for chiropractic, it creates a different quality of life.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and everything we kind of create is around that, man. So even we have our doctors, no matter who comes in for whatever they come in for patient-wise, our doctors always draw them a plan. And I know some people love these and some hate them, but I think they're essential, because the plans are, this is what your acute care looks like. This is what, corrective care looks like. This is what wellness for the rest of your life looks like. And for me, we always want our doctors and our staff to have a vision of what this person's health could be forever. And we want the patient to have a vision of what it could be. Now, so listen, I'm not going to have a hard sell on that. For us, we're more along the lines of, here's the vision. Now, what are your health goals and what do you want to do? And do we have some patients that are like, I'm just going to do the acute thing and we'll see how it goes? Sure, then it's our job to educate. But we always give that vision. Just, this is what your health could be if you choose.
Yeah. And now with this whole MAHA movement,
yeah,
that's the theme that hopefully America gets.
I know. I hope so, man. I really hope this. It's just so hard for me to watch some of the comments and things about what MAHA is doing from a negative aspect, because you're looking at it and there's so much they have already done, and everyone's like, yeah, but they didn't ABC, and I'm like, oh my God, in my lifetime, I never thought I'd see some of the things they've done.
And here's the thing, people can be critics all day long, but what are they doing? And that's just it. I just went to Rome, and there's a difference between the person that sat in the audience and the ones that fought in the arena.
Yeah.
There's a big difference.
Yeah.
And everybody in the audience had fruit to throw or rotten vegetables to throw or comments to spew, but they weren't the ones out there fighting for their lives. And that's the thing about politics, is we don't always have to like them, and we don't always have to agree with them. We don't have to like any of it. But if something speaks our language, well, damn it, we better support it. Yeah. And that's something that I think is really true in today's arena, that we have one person that's a gladiator in our arena, which is RFK Jr.,
Yeah.
And I believe that he is doing the right thing for this profession. And we've never had support of this profession probably since Ronald Reagan worked for WOC with BJ Palmer.
Yeah.
So we probably haven't had a political figurehead actually saying anything positive about chiropractic in about 50 years.
I know. And now it's published.
So
like win. It's a win.
Yeah. So we have to really take value in what's happening right now rather than listen to any of the chatter, because you know what happens with chatter eventually goes away. And we can't go back to yesterday. We can only move forward. And yesterday's already been done. We can only make positive moves tomorrow and the rest of today. And that's the part where most people don't think about with critics, is what they said yesterday doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is what we're going to do today and tomorrow. And yeah, I mean, people have like really short memories anyways. They say the average person has the attention span of a goldfish. So we just need to create more content that delivers on the promise and truth of chiropractic and get more people supporting that mission and message. And the critics eventually go away. And you know what we really need to do with them, Corey? We need to get those damn people adjusted.
I know, right? Yeah. Wouldn't that be cool? Like, I hear you. Come over to my clinic.
Yeah. And, when I also tell people all the time, because I've done over 800 spinal screenings, and they're like, I believe in chiropractic. I'm like, cool. Well, it's not a belief system, but I believe in it too.
Yeah.
And I say to them in joking, I say, you know what a belief system is? The Easter Bunny or Santa Claus. Those are belief systems. I tell them that chiropractic is the greatest healing art in the world. Yeah. That you don't have to believe in it, but you can. You just have to get adjusted. And that will show you the way of why chiropractic matters for humanity. And there's just a lot of fundamentals that we need to recorrect people quickly on.
Yeah.
And if not, they're going to keep on spewing what they want to.
Yeah. No, I love it. And, Sherry McAllister put out that book, Adjusted Reality.
Yeah.
Talks about, when I was talking to my doctors about the importance of screenings and things like that, going in the community, I was talking about the fact that Sherry McAllister talked about, who you come into contact first directs your health forever. And, I think the statistics, and I could get these wrong, so hopefully no one quotes me, but I think in her book, she mentioned, if you have chronic low back pain and your first talk is with a medical doctor, 40% chance towards surgery. First talk is with a chiropractor, less than 5% chance. So, with what you're saying, like getting out there and teaching the fundamentals, the fact that, to me, chiropractors are one of the few places that you can go and you're going to have a conversation, not just about your ache or your pain, but we're the only ones with the triad talking about, we're going to talk nutrition, we're going to talk emotional, we're going to talk physical, and you're going to talk about your overall health. And so, yeah, we got to get out there. We got to have that first conversation, because people need to realize that is changing people's lives forever, whoever they come into contact with first. So it's like race is on, like get out there.
And the other side of that is chiropractors have to really go back to their roots, which why I open the way that I do with the show every time, is because chiropractic is a science. It is a philosophy, and it is an art. And if we want to get this profession stronger, we have to admire the chiropractors for them being healing arts and the healing art of chiropractic, rather than saying somebody's wrong because they do a different technique. I think we have to be a lot more accepting of other people inside this profession, because there's not a whole lot of us, that we have to support each other and learn with each other and eat with each other and teach each other, rather than casting each other away because somebody does a different technique or doesn't have philosophy. If we have philosophy, we need to do a better job of teaching philosophy, rather than saying somebody else is wrong because they're not as educated as us. And that's a big thing that we have to start correcting too, because the way to correct the future of chiropractic is to teach the right way, rather than to shout at somebody and tell them that they're wrong.
It sounds like we need someone to go teach podcasts and bring up chiropractic and Nate at Palmer. And nominate you.
It's on the table. It's on the table.
Yeah, it's amazing. Amazing.
You've been given a talk called "They Built Me." I think that we should spend 5 minutes talking about that. Maybe talk about some of the people that helped build you into who you are today.
Yeah. No, I was just in Puerto Rico. Nights of the Roundtable Chiropractic, everybody did some shares, and I got to speak about whatever I wanted to speak about. And, I talked, my topic was they built me because, where I am today is 24 clinics, hundreds of thousands of patients, tens of millions of dollars, nothing I ever could have imagined myself being. And, I have to give the credit to the people that I was lucky enough to come into contact with, right? Because, we mentioned earlier, Guy Reekman, he lit me up for chiropractic. That was the first time I ever got into a leadership role in my life, was at chiropractic school, jumping into, student ACA and meeting with politicians and sitting down with Guy and Fred. And, they built me up in what a leader could be. And then, I met Janice Hughes, man. I actually just texted her the other day telling her I talked about her, because Janice was my first ever coach at Chiro school. And she was the one who taught me about being uncomfortable. Like, she wanted to hug me. And I'm like, what? But she taught me about every time you're uncomfortable, you just grow. And to this day, man, I always make sure there's something in my life that pushes me outside my boundaries. Like, I have a cold plunge at my house. I hate it. I use it. I'm doing high rocks. I don't want to. I'm gonna. She's the one who taught me. And so I spent my whole life chasing something that's uncomfortable to keep me growing. And then, Larry Markson, has Larry, if you haven't had Larry on this show, you should have Larry on this show.
I haven't yet.
Larry Markson, he was one of the roughest guys I ever met, right? I'm like, why can't you just adjust someone if they're hurting and then say goodbye? It's like, you just be an expensive Band-Aid and suck. And he like turns around. I'm like, what the hell? But Larry taught me affirmations, visualizations, goal setting. And I can tell you that every part of my career, going from 5 to 10 was scary, and recognizing that I was hitting a ceiling and maybe not prepared for who I needed to be. But having the skill set to be able to sit down and say, who do I need to be or become to handle this next step? And being able to write affirmations, visualizations, and goals, because he taught that to me. I did that to get from 5 to 10, from 10 to 20, to 20 to 24. Now, as we prepare for our next step, which I won't go into just yet, I'm building myself. I'm getting myself ready, because I'm not ready yet, but I'm getting myself ready. I will be ready because of the tools. And then, I'm lucky enough, I got invited to Point One. It was this group at Parker. They put together the top 0.1% of chiropractors. I got to sit down with these other people and meet, my buddy John Zacharias and Shiva Shivani and Anthony Hartnett, and these guys that were just doing these amazing things. And I was this small fish in this room. And luckily for me, they took a liking to me, and they shared with me. And man, they're like, Corey, you're at 10 clinics. Just do 20. Like, what are you doing? And I'm like, oh, okay. And then just getting into a CEO group. And my whole career has been about the people that have been around me that have been gracious enough to pull me up. And I'll take credit for listening to them, for implementing, but everything I've ever done, I've learned from someone and used it and ran with it. And so, as part of, I was telling the group in Puerto Rico and listening to you, I mean, this is everything. Like all the answers are on your show. Like, just listen and then soak it up. And then just, for the love of God, go do it. It's like, so who they built me is just literally me recognizing the fact that I'm in a really good spot right now. People got me here. I totally am grateful and humbled by that. And I know that that's true. And I know whoever comes into my life next to take me to the next level will be coming.
Let's get you a podcast started.
Man, I have been, we toy with the idea, but you want to know something? I've been, 6 or 7 or 8 or 9 podcasts in the last few weeks. I think I told you, early in my career, I was out there. I was speaking at Parker Vegas and speaking at Life and speaking at Leadership to Legacy. And I kind of got off the track because I wanted to build the business. And I've been saying no to everything for the last 10 years. Like, come be on this. No. Come speak at this. No, I'm busy. And so in the last 6 months, I've decided we're really doing some amazing things now. I mean, we're doing some amazing things at Palmer Care. We're, marketing, AI, training, hiring, like just everything we've built in these last 20 years is so awesome. And I'm giving it out to chiropractors all the time. I was like, let's just do an active service, right? For nothing, because there's nothing for me to make off of this, but let's just go give it. And so, your podcast and all the other podcasts, not as successful as yours, but all the podcasts and the speaking that is coming up now that I'm going to get back into is just all about, there's just so much you can do. There's so much you can do. You just, take it,
Well,
it's like, take whatever I got and use it.
We'll get you on for a part 2. I do have another show coming up in 4 minutes. So
nice.
Just want to say love and appreciate you. Thank you for spending some time with me today. Thanks for sharing some success ideas and how you became who you are today. And it's a really powerful episode. I appreciate you sharing.
All right, man. Appreciate it.
And I'll send you a link to get you back on for a second interview.
Yes, sir.
And I close out like I always do. I tell everybody, you guys are just one story away. Keep hustling. I'll see you guys on the next episode. Bye for now. Thanks, Corey.
Thank you, man.
Thanks for listening to Chiro Hustle. Don't forget to subscribe and check back next week to continue hustling.